Looking at ass again, Jeffrey? Jeffrey spends over an hour of his time scrolling through Instagram looking at women. You know, for how much he looks and lusts over these attractive women on Instagram, it's kind of weird why he has so many negative thoughts about them. He's edging, he's like jacking off his dick whilst he does it, but he's thinking negative, toxic, abusive thoughts about them. These sluts, whores, they have such an easy life, all they have to do is show ass. Well, Jeffrey, you do realize they're profiting from your attention. Like, they've got such an easy life because they're just attractive. Well, you do realize that's because of you. A beautiful woman and women in general are kind of like Jeffrey's enemies. He really wants to have sex, he really wants intimacy, but he just seems to hate these women. Can you guess why? Can you guess why he hates sluts? Because they won't be his sluts. Adonis. You give Adonis your phone with Instagram loaded up, there's ass right there on the screen. Guess what Adonis does? He swipes to the left where you can upload to your Instagram story. He takes a picture of his favorite leaf and he uploads it. That is Adonis's Instagram use of the day. And because Adonis has cultivated a great sense of brotherhood, all of his tribesmen message him about his favorite leaf and they send him their favorite leaves. What a healthy tribe they are. You see, Adonis doesn't need to lust over the women that he encounters. Now, that does not mean that Adonis doesn't appreciate beauty. Of course he does. He values beauty and the feminine, but he just doesn't allow himself to obsess over it. He keeps more important things in mind. You and I know that it's common sense that an attractive girl gets a lot more attention than a guy would. And you've probably seen like those videos and studies or like the differences between how many matches a girl gets compared to a guy. But when you see this in person, like out in public, it's a very different experience. And it's something that I've just witnessed. I've just been on holiday on one of the islands in Greece called Santorini. It's like a very romantic, like beautiful spot, and like a lot of couples go there. And I took this girl that I like there because her birthday is coming up, but I'm not going to be around for her birthday because I'm traveling for it. And we had an amazing time together. We really got along, and there was a certain night, like she dressed up, she looked really pretty, and we go to like a nice fancy restaurant. Then we're walking through like the city part of this island, and I was so aware at the level of attention that she was getting, bro. It was mind-blowing. I swear to God, I said this to her after like speaking about it, that on like a good day of me being in the city, maybe 3 to 5 people will like hold eye contact with me, you know, like girls will hold eye contact with me and I'll get some level of attention because I'm dressed nice, I'm looking good, I'm muscular, I'm confident. Maybe that's ego or something, but obviously like I do seem to stick out more than like an average guy would. And so the level of attention that I'm used to now is quite significantly higher than it used to be. But this night was a whole nother experience. I promise you that at least, I feel like I'm downplaying it, about 50% of the people looked. And I swear to God, like the majority of guys, not only did they, you know, just look, they stared. I saw their eyes, like I was looking into the eyes of everyone that we were walking past. It was like I could just see them like look at her. A lot of the people we walked past were also looking at me as well. You know, it's quite interesting to see like a couple together, but they were looking at her. And like one thing I noticed, which she said is like just kind of normal, is like it's kind of expected, but a lot of the guys like looked at her body. But it was a certain look that they had, which it was just clicking in my mind. I was like, yeah, of course they watch porn. It's like they didn't really see her as like a person, as like a real thing. They almost saw their idea of her, which is quite polluted by things like social media and porn. Like it's so hard to describe how I came to this conclusion, but imagine, okay, me and her are walking hand in hand and like a guy walks past. The guy hasn't like acknowledged us as like human beings. He's almost like seen her as like an NPC where he kind of like looks towards her as he walks, and in the sense that, you know, like he can kind of like look, like weirdly stare at like her body or something, like the image of her as he walks past without actually acknowledging like, yeah, you know, she's a real person. He should like look her in the eyes and smile or something like that. And what was funny was that even women were looking at her, at me, and I literally, bro, I honestly saw like a good handful of women fully check her out and like fully like look at her body, like literally look at her ass and everything. It was a very interesting experience. There was times when, you know, it felt quite empowering and I felt really good about myself, and I was like, yeah, like, you know, I'm dating a really hot girl right now, that's kind of good and everything. But there was certain times, I'm not gonna lie, man, like I felt quite uncomfortable, and I really thought, okay, I'm going to speak about this on YouTube, and there was a message that I wanted to send out to myself but also to you. Like, as you go about your self-improvement journey, you will notice the quality of woman you attract gets better and better and better because you become a better man as well. Because think about it, how you are at the start of your self-improvement journey, you are a little bit of a loser, you play video games, you know, you're not doing anything productive, so you can probably attract a woman who's on that level. But then imagine 6 months, 1 year, 2 years of going to the gym consistently. Well, now you're probably going to start to attract attract some gym girls. Imagine 2 years of meditation so that now you're actually present and you're grateful. And so now you can attract some women who are on the same wavelength. Imagine years of developing your character, like such a weird thing, like your character, your virtues, your values. That really makes you into like quite a noble man of like integrity. And that's like, that starts to attract like some high tier women at that point. You couple this all together and you really put yourself on a positive growth trajectory that betters your life. And of course, the better that you are in all areas, then you start attracting better in your partner. But then you have to keep this in mind, that the higher quality your partner, and especially quite superficially, the more attractive the woman that you're dating, the more that you will have to go through situations like this, where a lot of guys are going to be like looking at her, where like if you leave her alone for like a minute, there's going to be a guy speaking to her, where like you'll be walking hand in hand, and like the people who are in restaurants will try and call you out and, you know, come to our restaurant, buy this, buy this. You'll get like a lot more people wanting to speak to you. You can see that as a negative and get kind of anxious, but you can reframe your mind and see this as a positive. The amount of attention that she's getting and then that you're getting too is kind of like a positive indicator that you're really dating like a really, really attractive girl. Of course, you should set high standards and want more than just physical attractiveness in your partner, but it is something that we have to admit is quite important. Like, you do want to be like really attracted to your partner. You do want like a partner who's like really attractive. Of course you do. A lot of people don't ever want to admit that, and they say like, no, personality is more important, and it probably is. But I think right now we've gotten into this ultra humble stage where it feels a bit weird and shallow to say like, yep, I want a beautiful girlfriend. But bro, I'll be the first one of us to admit that. I want a beautiful girl. Of course I do. Of course I want someone who I consider beautiful. And for the guys who are walking past us, which could have been you, it could have been me, make sure that when you do look at a woman, you look at her as if she's not a fucking NPC. Make sure you look at her as if she is like literally a real person with a story, with experiences. Look her in the eyes, not in the body. And like, it's hard to explain this exact concept that I had, but a bunch of guys looked at like the idea of her. Does that make sense? They looked at her with this lens of inadequacy. They looked at her through like the lens of like years of porn and social media, and so they just saw like, oh, she is an attractive girl, instead of thinking, okay, well, she is like a human being who I can look in her eyes and like, you know, smile, and I can look at the guy she's with and smile and everything. I've experienced something like this like a few times with different women, and it always like just does something to me because I'm not used to that huge level of attention difference. Every time it happens, like when it happens to you for the first time, it's gonna blow your mind, and I'm excited for you to experience it because there is a lot of growth in that extra level of attention and how you handle it. There was a point when we were walking to our Uber, and there was like a bunch of like youths, like teenagers or something, all sat around. Like some of them were like arm wrestling each other, and I thought like, oh, here we go, like someone's gonna say something. We walk past and a bunch of them do look towards us, and one guy like really like hold eye contact with me, and I don't even know why the I did this. He's probably like 15, but I literally, we hold eye contact and I just go, and he just does it back to me, like he literally back to me. We burst out laughing. Him and his friends like looking at us weird. That made me like, that was funny as man. But like, I think that's kind of like a nice way to navigate a situation like this, because it can be so easy to like, you know, be anxious and be like insecure and think, why is everyone looking at me? Why is everyone, you know? But like, I did it in quite a playful mood, and I'm quite proud when I look back that like I didn't let this phase me, and I am like grateful and appreciative of what this really symbolizes, which is like, I'm dating a very, very attractive girl. Scroll down right now and click on the subscribe button underneath this video and share the link over to one of your friends who might find it interesting. Do the hard work, especially when you don't feel like it. Mwah.